Hickok 45 here. Welcome to the Hickok 45 Talks channel. Remember, you're on a different channel, the Talks channel. Not that it matters that much, just be aware where you are. This is where I sit down and talk about a topic and tell you a lot of non-essential things about it, probably just my opinions, just my experience. I'm not a certified person in anything, other than I probably belong in a mental institution, certified that way, right? But I just share my opinions, my thoughts on things, and take it for what it's worth. Take it for what you're paying for. It's probably worth what you pay for it, right? I had someone ask me to talk about, let's see, how do you determine which ammo you reload, which ones you buy, when you get reloading, trying to figure out what ammo to buy and what to reload, which ones to reload. Well, it's a good question. And I think if someone is, a vastly experienced shooter, it's probably not too tough a question. You would want to base that, and I sort of faced that question early on, but it was like 1973 or 4 when I bought my press and got into reloading. But at that time, I think I was shooting .357 Magnum and had the .45 Colt. That was it. Imagine me with just a couple of firearms, other than, I don't know, might have had a muzzleloader or something else at the time randomly. But yeah, that was pretty much it. So I didn't have a lot of decisions to make, really. I shot more .357 than anything. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I had a lot of brass, fair amount, stocked up from old hand loads I'd bought, factory loads I'd bought. I probably had 200 or 300 or 400 pieces of brass, maybe, I don't recall exactly. So I just started reloading .357, and then went to .45 Colt, and then got dies and went to .45 ACP, and so it goes, right? But I tell you, so I can give you a couple of thoughts, and other folks chime in. What are some things that help you decide? What are some factors that make a difference that I'm probably not thinking of right now, or might not occur to me? One of the big ones, and I've mentioned this a few times about certain chamberings. We say calibers, really, we use those terms interchangeably a lot of times. We talk about it just like bullet or cartridge. We talk about calibers. We mean different cartridges usually. You can obviously have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different cartridges that are the same caliber, right? Essentially, I mean, they're different by thousands, or those sorts of things. But .45 ACP, .45 70, .45 Colt, they're all .45, about the same size. Diameter caliber, which is what caliber is, diameter, right? But they're different cartridges. We typically just call it calibers. But anyway, I digress. One of the key things is, you all know, if you hand load, something that's expensive to buy, or it's all expensive, but something that's especially expensive or harder to find, that's a great choice to hand load, isn't it? As long as components are available and all that, and you got brass, you can accumulate brass. There's nothing really weird about reloading it. There are some cartridges. I never was a fan of loading necked cartridges. They're a little more problematic, and I didn't shoot that much rifle, that many. I didn't never really have fired enough rifle ammo to warrant setting up for it and reloading a bunch of that necessarily. There's lots of reasons to do that. One is to get maybe a more accurate load for your gun, something that it likes, and all that. And if you're hunting or you're going long range target competition, there are lots of reasons to do that. Load 30-06 or 243 Winchester, whatever. And I did that actually when I bought my Remington 700 BDL. I had a nice one back in the early 70s. I would do some groundhog hunting with it, and I don't know. I'd been into reloading, and I thought, okay, I've got this. I'm going to reload for it. I guess like I was going to shoot at thousands of rounds or something. But I did hand load for that. Got the dies and everything. But but by and large, if I had to do over, I wouldn't have gotten. I would just pick. I didn't shoot it that much. Pick up enough ammo. If it's something you're not going to fire that much, 50, 100 rounds a year or something like that. Well, by the time you buy all the components, you don't really save much money, if any. So it's a matter of whether or not you're just trying to get a specific load you want, or a specific bullet you want to shoot, certain weight bullet or type of bullet you want to load that's just not readily available. Lots of reasons like that to hand load, because you can, do what you want, make the ammo you want. But in general, think about, to answer this fellow's question, maybe some other folks, think about what you're going to shoot the most. That's one of my criteria. What am I going to shoot the most that I'm going to want to crank out a lot of rounds? I was shooting 44 Magnum a lot, always have. And so that was a natural too when I got into that. And loaded thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of 44 Magnum and 357 Magnum. A lot of 45 Colt, many thousands of rounds in that. And those three, I guess, as far as numbers, were the biggest. In my first 20 or 30 years of reloading and shooting, the 44, the 357, 45. Never have really reloaded 38 Special. Don't shoot enough of them. I love the round. I carry it, but I buy that. Just don't shoot that many. 9mm. I have loaded thousands of rounds of 9mm, of course, too. And so those are the rounds I shoot a lot of. 9mm is another one where you might not save a great deal. Time you buy components and primers and powder and press and set up and dies and go through all that, at least during normal ammo times. And again, and that's why I got into loading 9mm. I wanted a 147 grain bullet, just a full metal jacket. I was using it in USPSA some, or IDPA, and I wanted to be able to knock down the poppers and steel targets without, problem. So I just wanted a heavier bullet, and you couldn't just find that on the shelf very inexpensively, whereas you could get all the 115 grain stuff that you wanted usually. That's the default that I don't really like. I like at least 124, preferably 147 grain bullets in a 9mm. I just like the feel, the recoil, the point of impact, and all that much better. And most guns I found operate better with 124, 147. 115 is really light and very, very light. Some really good ones to load. If you are a fan of 45 Colt or 44 Magnum, 45 ACP even, large calibers, some of those just tend to be expensive, to buy as a box of ammo. Go buy a box of 44 Magnum. Well, you can get the components, and especially if you're loading cast bullets, which I did most of the time, it's a lot cheaper, 45 Colt is a great round to hand load. That stuff is really expensive. And then your less common rounds like 44 Special. If you have a 44 Special, anybody, man, you find a box of that, it's just pricey, isn't it? I think sometimes it's higher than the 44 Magnum. It's just not as common. And most often it seems like it's in a 20-round box. You can't even find a 50-round box very often of that. So if you shoot a lot of 44 Special, which is a great round to shoot a lot of, and that's why I have shot so much of 44 Special and 44 and 45 Colt and all that, because I have hand loaded it all through the years. And so I've shot as much of those chamberings as probably anybody, almost, or more than most, because I hand load them. So like 45 Colt could be crazy to buy sometimes, especially during shortages or whatever. Whereas if you're hand loading for it, you go buy the bullets and primers and you got the brass. It's no different than loading and shooting any other large caliber at all, really. So anyway, I don't know if that answers anything, but think about where you're going to start out with what you're going to shoot the most, what's the most expensive to buy. Really the differential, between loading and buying factory ammo is a good barometer right there. The ammo you like, guns you have that you like to shoot, what are some that are really expensive? As long as they're reloadable and not too hard to reload. Again, I don't get into rifle stuff much, so of all the rifles I have, whether it's the 30-40 Krag or some of my favorite rounds like that, the 6.5 by 55 Swede and all those, I just buy the ammo, even if it's fairly expensive, because I don't shoot that much. Okay, I don't know if that answers that. What else about hand loading and deciding which chamberings you want to reload and which ones don't make sense? So a lot of it does just come down to price, expense, how much are you actually saving, how much you're going to shoot that thing. Again, if you're really, you need to look at that realistically. How many rounds are you going to put through this handgun or rifle in a year? Is it worth all that gearing up to do? Now, it's a great hobby and it's fun to load whatever you're loading for. But if you got several firearms and several different chamberings you might want to load for, I would prioritize that and focus more on the ones that you're going to shoot the most, especially ones where you could shoot cast bullets through it. Because if you're loading cast bullets and don't have to use jacketed rounds, that's another large savings right there. But like I said, most of the 44 Magnum I fired through the years have been cast bullets, and that saves a lot. I was loading large caliber back in the early 90s, around 1990, because I ran it on a spreadsheet. I told this before. I was buying primers in bulk and bullets in bulk, powder and everything, and I was loading. I ran it on a spreadsheet. I had it tracked. It was costing me a nickel a shot on large caliber stuff, 45 ACP, 44 Magnum, 45 Colt, 5 cents a shot. And then minor caliber, 9mm and 38, 357 was costing me 3 cents a shot. Primer was a penny. It was really easy to figure. Primer was a penny, about a penny less, and the bullets, like 357 cast bullets, were like about, I don't know, 2.5 cents or something, and then a half a cent of powder, whatever it was. It was really easy to figure. There for a good while, several years, it was about 3 cents and 5 cents for minor caliber and large caliber. And that's one reason I said that, it's a shame it's so expensive to shoot now. Even hand loading, it's pretty expensive, isn't it? And because I got to shoot thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds at those costs. Now with inflation and everything figured in, it wouldn't be a nickel today, but still is a lot less, than what we all have to pay today. So, hope that helps. If it doesn't, I apologize. Don't blame it on me. I'm just a dummy sitting in the woods with a cowboy looking over my shoulder. Yeah, life is good.